We often look at the lives of others and wonder why ours seems so ordinary. We scroll through stories of inventors, artists, and revolutionaries and feel a distant ache, a silent comparison echoing in the back of our minds. I should be more, we think. Why am I not changing the world? But the truth is far more mysterious and personal than any highlight reel of history. According to the perspective of psychological thinkers like Carl Jung, your life's meaning isn't determined by the number of people who know your name, the wealth you accumulate, or the roles you perform. Instead, it lies in your willingness to confront yourself, to meet the person in the mirror without fear. Jung believed that our inner world is made of layers, some visible, some deeply buried. At the center of your awareness is your identity, your conscious self, your I. But beneath that is a realm just as real yet hidden, the unconscious. And deep within that unconscious resides something Jung called the shadow, the neglected, avoided, and often feared parts of ourselves. This shadow isn't just made of anger or shame. It can also hide beauty, dreams you abandoned, passions you dismissed, and versions of yourself you were told weren't acceptable. Perhaps it's the painter you stopped being at 19, the laughter you quieted to appear more mature, the instinct you suppressed because it didn't fit the story others wrote for you. Most of us live trying to be liked. We become experts at playing roles. We wear different faces for work, family, friendships, even strangers on the street. Jung called these faces personas, and they help us survive. But if we live only through these masks, we become strangers to ourselves. The cost of constant performance is disconnection from the truth of who we are. To rediscover your truth, Jung offered a simple yet transformative practice: the integration of the shadow. But this isn't something you do once. It's not a weekend retreat or a meditation app. It's a lifelong dialogue with the parts of you you've ignored, feared, or misunderstood. It begins with asking uncomfortable questions. Why did that comment upset me? Why did I laugh when I wanted to cry? Why do I criticize others for things I secretly wish I could do? These questions aren't traps. They're flashlights in the dark. And when you begin to answer them honestly, you'll notice something remarkable. The parts of you that you once thought were broken or shameful start to reveal their purpose. Your jealousy? It might point to a desire for a life you were too afraid to admit you wanted. Your anger? It might be protecting a core value you've been neglecting. To be clear, accepting the shadow doesn't mean glorifying bad behavior or embracing toxicity. It means realizing that your full self includes light and dark, calm and storm. Integration is not indulgence. It's clarity. It's saying, this is a part of me. I will listen to it. I will learn from it. And I will choose how to act consciously. This self-exploration is messy. At times it feels like going backward. You might uncover memories you buried. You might see patterns you didn't want to face. But this discomfort is not failure. It's the beginning of healing. Jung emphasized that growth is rarely clean. It often comes through paradoxes. You find strength when you admit your fears. You feel peace when you confront your rage. You discover freedom when you accept your limits. It's not linear. It's a spiral, revisiting old themes with deeper awareness each time. One of the clearest signs that your shadow is trying to speak is projection, judging others for things you secretly fear in yourself. Maybe you criticize someone for being arrogant, but deep down you're afraid of being overlooked. Maybe you feel irritated by someone's laziness, but beneath that, you're wrestling with your own burnout. Noticing these reactions isn't weakness. It's wisdom. Each moment of irritation, jealousy, or harsh judgment is an invitation. What part of me is being reflected here? The path to purpose begins with reclaiming what's hidden. The voice you buried when you were told you were too much. The ambition you silenced when it didn't fit your job title. The sensitivity you mocked in yourself because the world praised toughness. When you begin to gather these pieces, you don't become someone else. You become fully yourself. But here's the part many forget. Self-awareness is not the end goal. It's the starting point. After you've met your shadow, understood it, and welcomed it into your life, there comes a choice. What will you do with what you now know? Because it's not enough to realize you're creative, driven, or compassionate. You must act from that place. Transformation is action-based. A truth unexpressed is like a seed never planted. We often wait for permission, for a sign, for the right moment. But Jung taught that waiting is often just fear in disguise. If you know something matters to you, a cause, a dream, a relationship, don't wait for certainty. Begin. Even small steps, taken from a place of authenticity, ripple into meaning. And no, it won't always feel magical. Some days, integrating, your shadow feels like doing dishes, tedious, repetitive, but necessary. And yet over time, those small acts of self-honesty start reshaping your world. You may not become the next Einstein or Mandela, but that was never the point. Your life isn't meant to mirror someone else's. It's meant to reflect the fullness of you, your pain, your joy, your shadow, your spark, all of it. And that is where purpose lives, not in perfection, but in presence. Once you begin the process of recognizing your shadow, a subtle shift starts to happen. The mask you wore for years begins to feel heavy. Conversations that once felt safe now seem hollow. You notice when you're performing instead of being present. And perhaps for the first time you begin to crave truth more than comfort. But truth can be frightening. To truly see yourself, not the curated version, not the socially approved profile, but the real, raw, honest self, is like staring into a fire. It burns away illusion, but it also warms you with clarity. You start to understand why certain relationships drain you, why some environments feel suffocating,
why you're restless despite having everything others envy. The shadow has a way of revealing the quiet contradictions in your life. You might be praised as calm and collected, while carrying suppressed rage that leaks out in sarcasm or apathy.
You might be admired for being selfless while secretly resenting how often your needs are ignored, even by you. These dissonances are not flaws. They are clues. Markers pointing toward the parts of you still waiting to be seen when you take the time to notice them and, more importantly, to sit with them without judgment. Something begins to heal. That's why Jung didn't just speak about the shadow as an abstract idea. He saw it as essential to wholeness. Wholeness doesn't come from purity or perfection. It comes from integration. Not balance in the sense of control, but in the sense of harmony. A symphony of your entire self. This journey isn't for the faint of heart. There will be days when you wish you could go back to living unconsciously, to numbing, avoiding, pretending. But once your awareness expands, shrinking it becomes almost impossible. You can't unsee the truth. And you shouldn't. Because in your shadow are gifts, misunderstood, misused, or unloved. Think about it. Your stubbornness might actually be determination, misplaced. Your shyness might be sensitivity, unprotected. Your impatience might be passion, misdirected. When you stop labeling your traits as good or bad and start asking, what are they? Here to show me? The landscape of your life transforms. And this is where action becomes sacred. Let's say you've uncovered a part of yourself that longs for expression, writing, singing, healing, mentoring, and yet you're afraid. What if no one listens? What if you fail? What if people laugh? Those fears are real, but they are not facts. Jung would say, walk toward them, because your fears often protect your greatest truth. Behind the fear of ridicule may lie the desire to connect. Behind the fear of failure may live the hunger for excellence. Behind the fear of being seen may be the longing to finally belong, not as a mask but as yourself. So take the step. Not because you're fearless, but because you're ready to be real. Start the podcast, write the poem, apologize for the thing you've been carrying for years. Say no when every fiber wants to please. Say yes when every doubt wants to hold you back. And here's the beauty. You don't need to do it all at once. You don't need to become your higher self overnight. What matters is the direction, not the speed. As you live this truth, you'll notice something surprising. Your relationships change. Some people will feel closer to you, as if seeing you for the first time. Others may drift away, uncomfortable with your evolution. That's okay. Authenticity often realigns our circles. It brings in what resonates and releases what doesn't. This too is part of the shadow work, grieving the identities you outgrow and honoring the spaces you're now expanding into. And if you're wondering, where does all this lead? The answer is not a finish line. There is no certificate of full integration. This work isn't about arriving, it's about aligning, living in accordance with your values, your feelings, your unique voice, even when it trembles. Some days, alignment will look like creating something bold. Other days, it might look like resting without guilt. Both are acts of inner truth. Now I want to pause here and speak directly to you. Yes, you, the one watching and feeling these words. If this journey resonates with you, if something in your chest is quietly nodding in agreement, then this space is for you. I invite you to subscribe to this channel, not out of obligation, but because you're building something deeper with yourself, and you deserve to be surrounded by ideas and people who support that. More than that, I want to hear your voice. Tell me, not just that you liked the video, but what part of it reflected something you've lived? What part surprised you? What shadow did this bring to light? Use the comments like a journal. This isn't a performance. This is a conversation. Between those brave enough to look inside and say, there's more to me than I was told. And if you're someone who's been quietly carrying pieces of yourself in the dark, wondering if anyone would understand, let this be your signal. You are not alone. And your experience is not only valid, it's needed. In a world obsessed with surface and speed, your depth is your superpower. We'll continue in the next section by exploring how to transform this self-awareness into intentional action and how to stay grounded even when the outside world doesn't mirror your inner growth. But first, breathe. Let this land. You're not broken. You're becoming. Now that you've begun the path of understanding your shadow and perhaps even dared to make space for it in your daily life, there's a final, and often overlooked, step: choosing to live deliberately. You see, awareness without action is a stalled engine. It may have power, potential, and purpose, but it won't move unless you turn the key. And turning the key means showing up, especially when no one is watching. It means building a life that reflects what you now know about yourself, not the one others expect or the one that feels most comfortable, but the one that is yours. This might mean taking risks. Real ones. Not the kind that look impressive on social media, but the kind that make your voice shake and your palms sweat. Risks like setting boundaries for the first time, walking away from what no longer serves you, daring to begin something without a guarantee of success. Risks like being seen, fully, and without a mask, because that is where purpose lives, not in the polished parts of life, but in the messy, authentic effort to live in alignment with your soul. Ask yourself honestly, what do I believe in? Not just in theory, but in practice. What principles guide my decisions when no one is looking? What values am I willing to be uncomfortable for? These are not easy questions. They demand more than intellect. They demand honesty. Let's say one of your deepest values is compassion. Then how do you treat yourself when you make mistakes? If you value freedom, then what areas of your life still feel like cages? If you value growth, then where are you still playing small to stay safe? This kind of inner questioning is how you move from self-awareness to self-direction. It's where your shadow becomes an ally, showing you what you've avoided and what you're now ready to face. And the truth is, you don't need to have it all figured out. The most powerful journeys begin with a single, meaningful question, not with a 5-year plan. What matters is the willingness to act in the direction of truth over and over, even when it's inconvenient. Let's imagine you feel called to inspire others, not from a stage, but from your own daily life. That inspiration doesn't need to be grand. It might look like being present with your children in a world of distractions. It might look like starting a small project in your community. It might even be as simple as having honest conversations, creating a ripple of realness in a sea of superficial noise. Living your purpose doesn't mean becoming someone else. It means remembering who you are underneath everything you were told to be. And sometimes that remembering comes only after you've lost something. Jung said, "Even a happy life cannot be without a measure of darkness, and the word happy would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness." That sadness, the failures, the disappointments, the heartbreaks, is not proof that you're off track. It's proof that you're alive, fully, fiercely, humanly. Think of the times in your life that shaped you the most. Were they easy? Were they planned? Or were they messy, unpredictable, and wildly transformative? The job you didn't get, the relationship that ended, the dream that fell apart. Those moments often reveal more about our character, our calling, and our courage than any success ever could. And here's the gift hidden in all of it: the ability to rewrite your story, not by erasing the past, but by reinterpreting it. By seeing every pain as a page in your evolution, every failure as a chapter of strength, every shadow as a symbol of potential not yet explored. You are not a victim of your history. You are the author of your next sentence. So write with intention. Speak with purpose, act with presence, and remember, it's okay if the people around you don't always understand. Not everyone is meant to walk with you to every destination. Sometimes your evolution will confuse those who knew the previous version of you. That doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you're growing. In time, the right people, the ones aligned with your truth, will find you. Or better yet, you'll recognize each other by the light you've uncovered in your own dark. Now, before we close, I want to return to you, not just as a viewer, but as a soul on this path of integration, authenticity, and action. If you've come this far, if something in this journey resonated with your own, I want to offer a genuine, heartfelt invitation. Subscribe to this channel. But not out of routine. Subscribe because you want to keep walking this road, not alone, but alongside a community that values depth, reflection, and transformation. This isn't about followers or numbers. This is about building a space where people like you can come, breathe, reflect, and reconnect with who they truly are. And now I'd love to hear from you. In the comments, share a moment in your life where your shadow revealed something powerful, or tell us what part of this video spoke directly to your experience. Don't worry about sounding profound. Just be honest, because your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. You never know the healing your words could spark, and if this video helped you, even just a little, I ask one last thing. Share it with someone you care about. Maybe someone you've had a deep talk with, someone you've seen struggling in silence, someone who, like you, is searching for something more real. Let's spread this conversation, not because it's trendy, but because it's needed. And, above all, be kind to yourself. Not just today, but tomorrow and the next. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to be whole. Welcome home.